Hi, I'm Stephan with Kinetic Bodyworks. Today, I'm going to show you a few different things you can do to get relief for your upper body or lower body simply by putting your feet up the wall. So we're going to explore 10 different things. Some of them will include relief for the whole body. Others will be more focused to the lower body or the upper body. But the key areas we're going to focus on are relief in the legs, the hips, the low back, and your neck and shoulders. All right, so the first thing I want to share is it's nice to have a bolster. Now, a lot of people use a foam roller. Now, I find that's much bigger than you need, and it's hard to fully relax into that. So other alternatives include yoga bolster. It's a little bit more forgiving. However, my preference is to use a towel. You might want to dress it up a little bit better than this though. There, that's better. So what I've done is I've gone and rolled up this towel. And because I have this as my dedicated towel roll, I've actually gone and taped it in a few segments so that I can move it around easily without it coming apart every time. So the first technique you can use with the towel roll is to get yourself some relief in your chest and shoulders. And the way you do that is by putting the towel roll along your spine. And it's important it goes all the way from the base of the skull down to wherever it goes. That's one method. Again, this is for shoulder and chest relief. Now, if your concern is more the fact that you're starting to round in your back and you actually want to help correct that alignment in your spine, then you might opt to put it across your back like this. And I like to put this to start right in between my shoulder blades in that span. And you'll notice that's a great way to start helping correct that curve at the back. Okay, so for these demos, I'm going to put it lengthwise for ease. So what I'm going to do is start by putting it down on my mat at the midpoint. And you notice I'm going to leave a little bit of space, and you'll see why. It's for a modified pigeon pose. Now, to get set up, it's not easy for everyone to just get and put their legs up the wall. So one way I like to do it is I get on my side, just like this, and then I round and roll onto the mat. And sometimes you'll roll right onto the towel roll right in the middle, which is great. So, first thing I'm going to do is get set up, and what that means is starting by making sure it at least gets to the base of my skull. I'm going to do a slight chin tuck, drawing my chin towards my chest so that I can get a little bit of length through the back of my neck here. This is going to help stretch an area called the suboccipitals, which gets very compressed with a lot of people who are behind a computer or looking at their phones a lot. So chin tuck, get that length through here. It's also going to train our deep neck flexors to engage more so we can get a nice healthy length through our neck. Next thing I want to check in on is my low back. I want to make sure that my low back is flush with the towel roll. There we go, that feels good. Great. Next thing I'm going to do is put my feet up the wall. And this is the third technique. That's it. Just by putting your feet up the wall like this, you're going to help your body in a number of ways. So one of the nice things about being in this position is that you're supporting your circulatory system and your lymphatic system in a big way. You're making it easier for the blood that's in your veins, that's mostly deoxygenated, to get back to your heart so it can reoxygenate and give more nutrients back to your body. The other system, the lymphatic system, these are the vessels that carry a lot of the waste in your body. Clean it so that you can eliminate it in a safe way. And so we're making it easier for some of that waste in our low body to also come through the canals and get processed. So just lying here, you're going to benefit. So let's look at the fourth thing you can do. This one is drawing your toes towards your nose. It's that simple. What you're going to notice when you do that is probably many of you are going to feel tension through your calves and maybe even to your hamstrings. So just drawing your toes towards your nose is a great way to get relief in this back line. Sometimes it's referred to as a superficial back line, which has been shown to run from the base of your foot all the way up the back line, all the way around your head, and to connect at the brow. So you could imagine that tension through the calves, through the feet, plantar fasciitis, could be directly correlated to tension headaches that you might have. So this is great for that. A few ways you can do it is either just statically holding the toes towards the nose. You can have straight knees, but you don't want to lock them. Or you can gently oscillate it with your breath. What I mean by that is I'm going to ease off, and then on my exhale, draw my toes towards my nose, just like that. And I can just gently pulse back and forth like that a few times. I like to do at least 3. If you also have tension that goes into your hips, another thing you can do, a 5th method now, is in conjunction with drawing the toes towards your nose, you can actually fully internally rotate the entire leg. What I mean by that is lifting the foot, drawing it fully so the whole leg rotates towards midline, if you do that on both sides, like if you're doing an exaggerated pigeon toed walk. What this is going to do is help also create a little bit of relief for the ITBand and the TFL muscles and some of the other muscles in the hip. And same thing, you can either hold the toes towards your nose or you can gently pulse them with your breath. Now, another variation that's available to you is to moving with your breath. I prefer to move with the exhales. Is to actually lift that whole leg off while drawing your toes towards your nose and while fully internally rotating the entire leg. You'll notice it's going to be a little bit difficult for some of you, especially if you have a lot of restriction through your legs and hips, but know that this is a way to start to help freeing those tissues, freeing those restrictions from your body. Move nice and slow, always slow and controlled. Okay. Now, let's explore one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that my butt's not right up against the wall. And that's because we're going to do a modified pigeon pose. In yoga, a certain pose is called pigeon that looks like this. So what we're going to do is draw our ankle onto our thigh. Ideally, not on the knee, on the thigh. And this might be enough of a stretch for you if you have tight hips. If you're ready for more, you can slowly guide your heel down along the wall, and you'll notice you'll get more of a stretch through your hips. If you make it all the way to where your foot is flat and you're roughly 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, then another option available to you is to take your other hand and not push on the knee, but push on the far part of the thigh, the distal part of the thigh, and apply a little bit of pressure. You can get a little bit more of a relief that way, a little bit more of a stretch. You can choose to hold it for about a minute or so. You can also choose to just gently oscillate some pressure into there. Not ballistic, not fast, just gently, moving with your breath, ideally. And the reason I prefer to move with the exhale is because on your exhale, if you have a slow and controlled one, you're sending a direct message to your body that you're safe. And your body's more willing to allow whatever's happening to happen. So I'm going to show you quickly just on the other side here. Same thing, ankle goes onto the far part of my thigh. With my exhale, I'm going to glide down. If I can go all the way to here, and I need more, that's where I can also choose to push on my thigh, not my knee, to get a little bit more of a relief. And back up. Okay, and those are the key ones for the lower body. Now let's take a look at the low back. So if you find that you're standing a lot and you're feeling a lot of compression in your low back, this could be a great way to get relief there. So I'm going to get my hands out of the way so you can see my low back a little bit better. I'm going to start by planting my feet like this here. And what I want to do, again, moving with my exhale, I'm going to take a breath. Rocking slowly, methodically, off one vertebrae at a time, one vertebrae at a time. I'm still maintaining a chin tuck, keeping the base of my skull on the towel so I can get that length in the back of my neck. And I'm just going to rock up. I don't need to go all the way to up here. In fact, that could be unnecessary strain on your body. You only go to about your mid-back, or even less. And now what I'm going to do is slowly and methodically round my whole low back, one vertebrae at a time, all the way. Nice and slow. Think of this as lubricating, unwinding, flossing out tension, wringing out the towel of your spine, really helping encourage full range of motion through that low back. I have got a slight arc now in my low back, And now I'm gonna rock back one vertebra at a time. The nice thing about doing this too is that it's inadvertently engaging my deep core, my transverse abdominis, the deep core muscles, which are very important for postural stability and for being able to distribute force throughout my torso so it doesn't compound in my low back. So, I personally really like to take my time with this one, move nice and slow and controlled. However, for the sake of demos, we're going to keep moving. So, next up, we've got our arms. One of my favorite things to do to get a full relief through my chest, shoulders, even into my hands and forearms is I create this sensation where I pretend as though there's a string really pulling me. Or let's think of magnets. There's a magnet, positive here, negative over there, and my whole torso is being drawn up towards that part of the wall. And then I've got magnets on my fingers and they're being drawn down to this wall. So I'm creating this beautiful expansion throughout my body. And I'm splaying my fingers, really splay them out. Lengthen that body. You can even bring your feet into the equation if you want by putting your toes towards your nose, but we're focusing on the upper body right now. So feel your arms actively, expansively being drawn towards the wall that your feet are on, and your head being drawn towards the other wall, getting that length through the neck, through the chest. And now moving with the breath, watch what happens now. We can now rotate, and again we're wringing out the tension, flossing out the restrictions, unwinding any adhesions and restrictions that are in our body. You might get a little bit of numbness, tingling, cold sensation in your hands. It's not to be unexpected. Numbness and tingling is usually a sign that there's been some nerve compressions, and we're in fact in the process of helping free some of those compressions and restrictions. If you get cold in the extremity, that's more a sign that your blood vessels are getting cut off or potentially restricted for whatever reason, because blood is what carries warmth throughout all the tissues in our extremities. Okay, so we can do a few of these moving with the breath. And if you find, sometimes I like to do a few moving with the breath, and then for me, I like to hold this one for a little while. Few breaths, still creating that sense of expansion and tension. You'll probably get a few really good sighs along the way. That's an excellent sign that energy is moving. Another way I like to get a chest opener with the upper body is actually to put my arms down like this, and I'll let my arms glide up and down. Ideally, you want to move within ranges that keeps your elbow and your wrist against the ground. You may notice, some of you, as you come up, your wrist will want to rise. That's a sign that you've got quite a bit of tension through that upper extremity. So meet yourself where you're at and challenge the edges just a little bit. So what I mean by that is draw down to where they're in contact with the ground, and then just skirt over to where they're about to lift off. Hold yourself there, take a few nice deep long breaths. And you may notice you'll get a little bit more range each time. So there you go. That's the tour. And I'm sure there's so many other ways we can get relief in this position. If there's any ways you can think of, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. And if you, next time you watch, you just want to jump ahead, I've made sure in the descriptions to include timestamps so you can just jump straight over to whichever one of these exercises is most meaningful for you. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and share it with anyone else you think could use this support and this guidance. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. There'll be more videos coming through the next few months. All right, bye for now. Take care.